Text.
So much for that. No, they get extra days.
All right.
5:30. All right, we will call this Winnebago County Board of Adjustment public hearing for December 21st, 2022 to order. We will begin by, excuse me, introducing ourselves. I'm Greg Cargus from the town of Oshkosh.
Tom Truschel, Town of Monmouth.
Sue Drexler, Town of Algoma.
Town of Bursting and Town of Black Wolf.
And I'm Daniel Fave, Code Enforcement Officer here with Winnebago County. The appeals process is as followed. An aggrieved person may appeal a final decision made by the Board of Adjustment by filing an appeal with a court of competent jurisdiction within 30 days of the final decision.
The decision will not be made this evening. It'll be made on Thursday, January 5th. You can call the planning and zoning office after 9 o'clock to find out if the decision that was made is on the request. Anyone wishing to give testimony this evening will need to be sworn in prior to giving testimony. And only one person will be allowed to speak at a time for clarity purposes. So the one we have this evening is the applicant is Winnebago County Parks Department. The property address is 1801 Grunman Lane in the town of Finland. And I'll have a legal description read.
Legal description, being part of government law 1 of section 20, township 19 north, range 17 east, town of Inland, Winnebago County, Wisconsin.
And who is going to be speaking on behalf of this request this evening?
This is Pat Skolecki. We're working for the county. I'm with Grafe. We're working for the county on the design and had assisted with submittal and packaging up the variance request. So I can speak to the project components and the request for the variance that we're seeking.
All right, Pat, you'll need to be sworn in prior to giving any testimony.
Okay.
Want to raise your right hand? You solemnly swear the statements you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
State your name and address.
Patrick Skolecki, business address or home address?
Business.
Business address is 116 South Adams Street, Suite 201, Green Bay, Wisconsin, 54301.
All righty, Pat, can you tell us what you would like to do here, please?
So what we're working on and are designing for the county is basically a reconstruction and expansion of the boat launch at Grumman Park. This boat launch, as it pertains to the variance, includes an additional 3 stalls of launch location. Currently there is 3, and we will be putting in another 3. And please, Adam, weigh in if I'm misrepresenting something, but we are adding 3 additional boat launch locations reusing some existing docks, and obviously the existing boat launch would remain. So we're widening that area. We are adding a information kiosk and a fee station adjacent to the launch. And then again, as it applies to the variance, the other work is really just going to be minor grading within the area. But as far as there's other structures, there's a parking lot expansion reconstruction to provide parking for trailered vehicles. There is a bathroom and an open air shelter. All of those features are beyond the setback area of the shoreland zoning portion, beyond 75 feet. So the only features are really the ramp itself, the fee station kiosk, and the grading activity and paving that is adjacent to the ramp itself within the 75-foot setback.
All righty. Does anyone have any questions about this?
I guess I do.
Okay, Tom.
What's the county's plan if this variance doesn't get approved?
Adam, do you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, I don't know if I have to be sworn
Adam,
in.
excuse me, I'll be sworn in first.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
State your name and address.
Adam Breest. And do you want my address at work then, or home?
Yeah. business.
County?
Yeah.
Hoffman Building. Sorry, off the top of my head. 625. No, 501 East County Road Y, Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Okay, go ahead, Adam.
So as of today, the Grumman Boat Landing is about half of what you see here. It's that northern half. The reason we're looking to do this expansion and this addition is because of how many people are parking on Grumman Lane and how many users either have to turn away or there's not enough space for them to park to utilize the lake access. So we are looking, if this was not approved, then we would not be able to add the additional launches. We wouldn't be able to add some additional pavement. We could still add some of the additional parking stalls. However, the issue would be is now we would have double the parking stalls with the same amount of landings. So if you have 120 boats on the water, that's going to be much more difficult for them to get back on land with just 4 ramps versus the proposed additional ones that we have. As it relates to the variance, I think, or variance request, I think that would be the biggest thing from our perspective. As Pat mentioned, the bathrooms and some of those things are past that setback. Obviously, we want to add those for amenity purposes because right now it's a portable toilet. But this is a very popular landing. Between the only nearest one is in Neenah to the north, and then south is Asylum Bay. So it's a very popular boat landing that we're looking to expand on current county-owned property.
Have any of the neighbors weighed in on the parking issue on Grumman Lane in the past? Is that kind of one of the reasons for doing this?
So I've been around with the county for a year and a half, and before my time in winter of 2020, we performed a public informational session in person, and neighbors were there. We also did have a survey as well. So everyone sees the need. The neighbors at the time also said they appreciate that there'll be better lighting and better security because we are looking to put security cameras in this area. So there's going to be some upgrades to make sure we continue to monitor the site. One thing I didn't address, and I apologize, you mentioned if we didn't get the one portion of it that Mr. Skolecki talked about as well is the fee station. And if that, so right now our fee station is a metal box at the front of the existing boat landing, actually right next to where the landings are within that 75 feet. If we wouldn't have it or be able to put it there, we'd have to put it all the way at the front entrance because otherwise the cars would be blocking it as they're parked. And then so it'd be hard for people to find. And obviously we want people to pay to utilize the landing. So they'd have to walk 600 feet back to the front of the park after they park their car if we left it at the front, or we'd create a bottleneck onto County Highway or onto Grumman Lane with cars waiting to utilize the fee station down the road.
Is that fee station, that kiosk, is that designed to be a drive up kind of a thing or a walk up?
It can be where we're putting it. It could be a drive up, but most people park their trailers and then walk up as they're launching their boat. So it's right next to where they launch their boat. They're very similar to the fee stations. If you've ever been to like the city of Oshkosh, Brown County has them. They're just on a small pedestal. They're about only 2 feet by 3 feet in length and width. So they're very small. They're put on a small concrete pad. Yeah, and there's not much else to them.
And I see on one of the drawings that you're going to be doing some plantings also for I would assume for a buffer for the residential property to the south.
Correct. If you look at the landscape, and unfortunately not all the plans had it, and I'm not sure exactly which plans you have, but the landscape plan we were working with the neighbor back even in 2020 to basically, you'll see new plantings all along their property line. I believe it's 35 new plantings that we're planting for the neighbor to make sure that we are cognizant, obviously, of the idea is to obviously block out the headlights.
Right. Okay.
Can you hear me? No. I'm the neighbor that lives directly to the south of the boat.
Could we get you to swear in before you say anything more?
Sure.
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the statements you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
State your name and address.
1728 Grumman Court,
And your name.
Kristen Belangia. I'm sorry about my voice. I have a really bad cold. I just have a question. the setback is all coming off the lake and going back that way. What about setback to my line between, my property line?
There is no required setback from a parking lot or driveway to a lot line, side lot line.
And is that also true of the toilet, the bathroom?
That will have to be 10 feet.
10 feet is all?
Yep, 10 feet from the lot line.
Do you think that's sufficient?
In which way, ma'am?
I don't know, just because it seems so close to my property.
It's just another structure in the eyes of zoning, so we would just require a 10-foot setback, so. That's only what our ordinance says.
Okay.
I have a question for either Pat or Adam. With the landscaping, are you going to be doing something to keep the water on the property from running down into the lake? Is there going to be some kind of collective basin?
Yeah, this is Pat Skulecki. I can answer that question. And just, I'll answer that and then I can kind of let the neighbor know the setbacks that currently show on the site, which is significantly more than the minimum. From the stormwater perspective, we do have a number of biofilter devices that is going to collect all the runoff from the paved area. There is a larger biofilter running along the north edge of the parking lot, which is going to collect all of the stormwater from basically the middle of the parking lot as it runs east-west. And then there's 3 smaller individual biofilters, again, draining the water from the east or the southerly half of the parking lot area. So we do have stormwater management design in here. We did need to get a stormwater NOI, which is in hand from the DNR to treat to a stormwater quality and quantity control standpoint. That permit's been approved by the county or by the state to handle any sediment runoff and quantity control that would go into the lake. So we do have that controlled. Obviously, the immediate area of the launch where it's sloping down to the water, there's nothing we can do there. That's calculated in our numbers. So we factored in that non-control area, but we are treating the entire site to the code requirements that the state requires. Just to add on to that, as far as the setback, and I'm looking at the drawing now, the distance we are off of your property line is just under 80 feet to the edge of the bathroom. So we're significant distance away. And there's a number of other trees in that area that exist that aren't getting impacted in addition to the new shrubbery that we're going to be adding. So just for more information for her.
Thank you.
If I'm able to add one other thing about the toilet, one positive thing too is we are going the route of a wet toilet. So we are not doing the dry pit toilet from a odor standpoint. So I just wanted to make you aware of that as well. We are doing a water with a well with a holding tank.
Okay.
Anyone have any other questions? Either one of these gentlemen?
I have a question for staff.
Yeah.
If the kiosk and the pay station were to disappear, they still need a variance for the pavement.
Correct.
If the pavement disappears, they still need a variance for either the kiosk or the pay station or both,
Correct.
but not the sidewalk.
They do not need a variance for the sidewalk. They're allowed a 5-foot sidewalk down to the water.
And the gravel walk, same thing.
Yes. Well, which gravel walk?
It was mentioned here in the project, but I didn't see in the drawing there.
Yeah, that was removed ahead of time.
Okay. And the kayak launch is already okayed by the DNR. It's not a part of this at all.
Yeah, that's not a part of this. That's strictly through the Wisconsin DNR.
Okay, thank you.
Did you get any reports from township or?
We did get a response from the town. They didn't state whether they recommended approval or denial, but based off their findings, it does look like they recommended approval. They just didn't write it down. So the town finding from the town of Inland states kiosk is a small structure and ramps will be within the shore yard. Ramps are necessary for the landing to be functional. And that's it. But no, like I said, they didn't state whether they're for approval or denial. That was their finding. And then nothing from the DNR as of yet.
But as you said, they're complying with all their state permits for the DNR, which don't have anything to do with us.
But they would weigh in for the shore yard aspect. Yep.
Any other questions? Yeah. All right, I guess that's all we have for you guys. Thank you for your input. Like I said, we'll meet on January 5th to render our decision, so you can call the zoning office after like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. Pat.
Nothing else, so entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
Second.
The motion made second to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion. Thank you very much.
Have a good night, guys.
All right.